Alright guys, what's going on? It's Resto, and today we're doing the Shadowfang Keep Dungeon Guide. Honestly, hesitated on even making this one because of how easy it is. It's a bit of a smaller dungeon, so you don't really have to, maneuver certain routes. You're actually going to be clearing this entire dungeon. The only thing you're going to be going for in this dungeon is the Shadowfang or the Assassin's Blade. Yeah, you got chances at like Dustbringer, Gloomshroud, Mind Thrust, but all of that isn't really a priority. What's really a priority in this current expansion is the Shadowfang and the Assassin's Blade. If you're running this dungeon, you're running it because you want to gear a rogue. There's really no other reason to run this, in my opinion, unless you really want those Mind Thrust Bracers or the Night Reaver for your warrior. But that is honestly the only other reason to run this place. The drop rates are kind of low in Wrath of the Lich King, not so much as the other expansions in the future where the drop rates are kind of a little bit higher, and it's actually worth running this dungeon. One of the things that you guys can do is when Season of Mastery comes out, go ahead and level a tune and start farming these dungeons. That way when Season of Mastery ends, it transfers into the current expansion and then you get all this gear. So that's a little tip there. But what I did here, I managed to do this within 11 minutes. I could have gone slower. I tried to go slower. That is the goal, believe it or not, because you just run through this so quick. I believe on other classes, like not a DK, because I have my speed boost on, my Unholy Presence. So I believe in other classes, you guys will be able to maintain 12 minutes running this route, doing what I'm doing here. So I really feel like it's just my class speed running presence. That's the only thing holding me from the 12 minutes. But what I did was kind of kill things by section, just kind of making things a little bit slower. And I don't know if you guys are here from the previous video. Speaking of the previous video, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Notice we just hit 3.8 subs. Anyways, back to the video. I just want to take a quick second to interrupt this video. I noticed that 92% of you are not subscribed, so if you guys are enjoying this content, be sure to click that subscribe button below. And I've also noticed that our current subscribers, only 10 to 30% of you have notifications turned on. If you guys want to see the latest and newest videos come up, be sure to go on and click that bell. Subscribe if you're new. Hope you guys enjoy this video. In that Black Phantom Deeps video, I mentioned, don't bother looting the boss loot, etc, etc. In this case, you'll see me looting the boss loot unless it's completely out of the pack, because I don't mind deleting it in this case because there's just so much time that I need to kill in order to hit that 12 minutes. So I kind of just copy pasted the delete, and then I just paste it into the delete when I go to delete the boss loot. Still loot bosses, always loot the bosses because they always have a chance to drop something. There are many chest drops as well within this dungeon. So, I mean, even if you're a rogue, this is a really good class to go with because the locked chests that you guys can pick. In the meantime, I know you guys got Phantom Knives, but I feel like a rogue would be really nice for this as well. Just for that specific reason of it being such a short dungeon. You have a lot of time that you can kind of maneuver with. Anyways, what I like to do is go around the wrap on the outside and kind of bring it back in, making sure I kind of get everything within that general location. I don't like to go out of my way. I like to kind of make it a part of the route, and I felt like this was the most efficient way to do so. I feel like going the other way, in between the middle and towards the boss, and then out this way, it just didn't really make sense to me. I could just be overlooking it, and it doesn't make sense either way. However, this is just something that I like to do because it kind of just makes sense to go on the outside and then go through in. Make sure you guys are looting everything. There are times where I've skipped some things and it didn't really loot, so I missed out on some loot that could have potentially been some boas. So make sure you guys are looting everything and make sure everything's going into play. With the bosses, some things like to de-aggro, so that's why I kind of also like going room by room rather than just pulling the entire dungeon and then just killing everything right there, because some things will de-aggro and run back, and as you know, every mob counts. When it comes to the Shadowfang and the Assassin's Blade, a lot of the mobs that are humanoids will drop those rather than the Worgens. The Worgens don't really drop anything until Cataclysm. That's where they really come into play, but it's a lot of the humanoids is where it actually matters. The Worgens, however, do drop greens, which are really good. The Shimmering, the Green Weave, all that fun stuff. You guys want to make sure you are still killing the Worgens for the greens, because the greens still do matter. I know Black Phantom Deeps also drops greens, but they don't drop greens that are at the same drop rate as what Shadowfang Keep drops. So I guess in a sense, yeah, you're farming Shadowfang and Assassin's Blade, but you're also going for greens. The greens matter a lot. One thing as well, if you are running on a DK and you're solely using this DK for farming, don't spec into bloodworms, because they tend to kill a lot of your mobs and you don't get the loot for that. I have had that happen a lot. I still have it happen a lot. It is what it is. I really don't care, but it's just usually like a mob or two that I'm missing out on because of the worms. But what's weird about the Worgens is a lot of the stuff they're immune to, so I have to use a lot of my Frost Presence spells or just my melee in general. So there is that to consider as well. I don't recall if the other spellcasters get immune as well. If you're a Frost Mage, you should be chilling just because my Frost Presence works against it, so you can just use Frost spells like a Nova. I don't know about Arcane though, but I do know that some of my spells were immune with the Worgens. So it is what it is, but that's what we're gonna go with here. Really, to the Shadowfang Keep dungeon run though, there's really not much to it, guys. Like, there really isn't. I know in Cataclysm and Warlords of Draenor, those are two really good expansions to farm it for. You get a lot of drop rates in Cataclysm or Warlords of Draenor. Draenor, I got a lot of Shadowfangs to drop. Every rogue had a Shadowfang. I believe I had 2 veterans. I had a 19, so I mean 2 19s actually, and they all had Shadowfangs. If you guys have money, I mean, you guys can go on a website and buy some gold. There's always that, but depending on your server, it could be, I think it goes around for 10k right now. I know on my server it's like 20,000. It's kind of absurd. Like I said, this is why I make these videos. I always encourage you guys to farm your own stuff rather than waste your gold on people upselling stuff like that. I've never seen a Shadowfang for that much. Usually Gloomshroud armors or the Black Phantom, or not Black Phantom, Black and Defias belts, like all that stuff was always 20k because it was grandfathered. It doesn't really matter anymore, but they were also BIS items, and they were like a demand to have because you can't get it anymore. So that stuff was usually high price, not so much the Shadowfangs. I know some servers run a little different. You can find that one thing where it's like super dirt cheap. Grab that. Like I know in vanilla on my server, when Classic first came out, I copped a Shadowfang for I think like 2 gold. It was nuts. So that was really nice. But that is something I do recommend though. So this route necessarily isn't useless, I guess, but this is the Wrath of the Lich King. However, in Season of Mastery, run this route. I literally just thought of this on the fly. If you're running this on Season of Mastery, this is the route to go because you're going to be level 60 trying to go through this stuff. So maybe not go as slow, but you can run this same route, and then the time will kind of even out that way. Actually, that's genius. That is genius. We just thought of this on the fly in the making of this video. So yes, use this on Season of Mastery. I don't know if one is out right now. I hear rumors of one coming out soon or something about hardcore servers. I don't know if it transfers over with the hardcore servers. However, I know there's another Season of Mastery coming out. Take advantage of those, guys. I know it's classic. It's going to take forever to level, but however, it's going to be worth it. You're going to have such higher drop rates in Season of Mastery. In vanilla, for whatever reason, the drop rates are just really, really high, and a lot of things drop very easily, so it's the best time to farm that stuff. That's why a lot of people who have gear now, they took advantage of that in vanilla, and they're bringing it over into Wrath, even in Season Mastery. But in actual classic vanilla, a lot of people took advantage of farming a lot of the gear, and they just kind of got a head start on everything, where everyone else was kind of focused on leveling, doing endgame stuff. Everyone else focused on their Twinks. It's cool if you want to focus on Twinks, but that is something that you guys can do in the vanilla servers. That's something I do recommend. Also, in vanilla, there's a lot of things that you guys can run, like the rares. There's a lot more rares that you guys can farm. I know in Wrath of the Lich King they're kind of bugged out. Some of them don't spawn, so that's another thing you guys can take advantage of as well. However, this is the end of the run. Like I said, once again, there's not much to it. I was really hesitant on making this because there's not really much to talk about in terms of the route, but at least you guys can see exactly what I would run. I know in retail it's a little different. For whatever reason, it seems to be a little bit of a longer run. I don't know if it's just because of the damage output or whatever the case is, but it seemed to be a little bit more efficient on retail. However, going out of the dungeon, a lot of people like to go all the way they came in. However, you can jump off the ledge and just go straight out of the instance, as you can see I'm about to do here. That's kind of to be able to cut some time, especially if you're on a time crunch. This is a way to kind of cut out, I think, a whole minute of running out of the dungeon. It's like a quick little skip that you guys can do, but you can only do it going out. You can't really do anything like that going in. That's the unfortunate part. So other than that, I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There's not really much to really explain here. Once again, I am going to be gone for 6 weeks going to a school, so I will not be able to make any videos. I'm bringing a laptop with me, so kind of keeping up to date with some of the gear. I'm going to do some little farming here and there. I got a lot of Twinks leveled up, so there's that. New videos coming out soon on PvP wise. I'm just gearing everything up so that way I can just hop around different brackets. I just really want to focus on gearing up all my Twinks. I got a Twink in every bracket so far, other than the 59 and 69 bracket. But other than that, it's been Resto, guys. See you guys next time.